The atmosphere in Monte Carlo was incredible as the Monaco Grand Prix finally got underway after an intense weekend of practice and qualifying. Kimi Räikkönen and Fernando Alonso had been the standout performers all weekend, and they carried that form into race day. Räikkönen made a brilliant start from pole position, while Alonso immediately looked for a way past, attacking from both the inside and outside into the first corner. Despite the pressure, Kimi defended perfectly and kept the lead. Behind them, Giancarlo Fisichella and Jarno Trulli both made excellent starts, gaining positions at the expense of Mark Webber, whose Williams got away poorly and dropped several places before the field climbed toward Casino Square. Everyone managed to survive the opening lap cleanly, but the race soon erupted into drama when a multi-car accident blocked part of the circuit. Michael Schumacher, Juan Pablo Montoya, Rubens Barrichello, and several others became caught up in the chaos after a spinning car triggered a chain reaction. The incident brought out the safety car and forced teams to quickly adjust their strategies. While some drivers benefited from pit stops under caution, David Coulthard's race effectively ended after suffering damage during the accident. Once racing resumed, Räikkönen immediately began building a huge advantage over the rest of the field. His pace was untouchable, and lap after lap he stretched his lead while his rivals struggled to keep up. Alonso initially remained among the front runners, but tire wear soon became a serious concern. His rear tires were degrading rapidly, reducing grip and making the Renault increasingly difficult to drive. As the race progressed, the Williams drivers of Nick Heidfeld and Mark Webber began closing in, sensing an opportunity to challenge Alonso. Williams made a smart strategic call by bringing Heidfeld into the pits slightly earlier than Webber, allowing him to gain valuable track position. The decision paid off when Heidfeld launched a bold attack under braking and successfully passed Alonso for second place. Webber soon joined the battle and repeatedly pressured Alonso, leading to several controversial moments at the chicane where both drivers ran wide while fighting for position. Further back, Giancarlo Fisichella was desperately trying to hold off a long line of faster cars despite struggling for grip. Eventually, Jarno Trulli forced his way through, triggering a chain reaction that cost Fisichella several positions in only a few corners. Juan Pablo Montoya was one of the biggest beneficiaries, moving up the order and finding himself in clear air. The closing laps produced non-stop action as drivers fought fiercely for every point, with Montoya attacking relentlessly and the Ferraris battling among a tightly packed group. Despite all the excitement behind him, Räikkönen remained completely in control at the front. His combination of speed, consistency, and strategy allowed him to comfortably maintain his lead after the final round of pit stops. As the checkered flag approached, the Finn cruised through the streets of Monaco without any serious challenge. He crossed the finish line to claim a dominant and well-deserved victory, while Heidfeld secured an impressive second place after his late-race overtake and Webber completed a strong result for Williams. Alonso fought bravely despite severe tire wear but ultimately had to settle for a lower position after defending for much of the race. Afterward, Räikkönen admitted he had briefly worried when the safety car appeared because he missed the opportunity to pit immediately, but once his team calculated the required gap, he pushed hard enough to build a comfortable advantage before his stop. From that moment onward, he controlled the race perfectly and delivered one of the most commanding Monaco victories of his career, further strengthening his position in the championship battle. Räikkönen's victory sent a strong message to the rest of the grid. While many drivers spent the afternoon battling traffic, tire wear, and constant pressure, the McLaren driver appeared completely in control once he established his advantage. His pace during the middle phase of the race was particularly impressive, allowing him to create the gap needed to make his pit stop without losing the lead. That stretch of laps effectively decided the outcome of the Grand Prix. Every time his rivals attempted to close the gap, Räikkönen responded with another fast lap, showing exactly why he had been the quickest driver throughout the weekend. Behind him, the fight for the remaining podium positions provided most of the excitement. Alonso had looked like Räikkönen's biggest threat before the race, but the safety car period and severe tire degradation changed everything. As grip disappeared from his Renault, he was forced into a defensive race, spending the closing stages trying to keep the Williams drivers behind him. Heidfeld eventually found a way through with a brave move under braking, one of the standout overtakes of the afternoon. Webber also piled on the pressure, creating an intense battle that lasted several laps and kept fans guessing until the very end. Further down the order, Montoya recovered strongly from the early chaos and charged through the field whenever opportunities appeared. His aggressive driving style was perfectly suited to the closing stages as several rivals began struggling with worn tires and fading pace. Meanwhile, both Ferrari drivers somehow managed to recover points despite being caught up in the opening incident. It was not the result the team had hoped for, but considering the circumstances, leaving Monaco with points was better than leaving empty-handed. The narrow streets of Monte Carlo once again proved why the circuit remains one of the most demanding venues in Formula One. Every mistake carried huge consequences, and even the smallest error could cost several positions. Drivers spent the entire afternoon balancing aggression with caution, knowing that one wrong move would almost certainly end their race. As the celebrations began in the McLaren garage, attention quickly turned toward the championship standings. With another dominant performance, Raikkonen had built valuable momentum at a crucial point in the season. The next few races would come in rapid succession, and confidence was clearly on his side. His rivals knew that if they wanted to stop him, they would need to find more speed quickly. For now, however, Monte Carlo belonged to Raikkonen. From pole position to the checkered flag, he delivered a near-perfect performance and left the Principality with maximum points, another trophy, and growing belief that the championship could soon be within reach. Although the final result showed a comfortable victory for Raikkonen, the race highlighted just how quickly fortunes could change in Formula One. A single safety car period, a strategic decision, or a few laps on worn tires had the power to completely transform a driver's afternoon. Alonso experienced that reality firsthand. What had started as a serious challenge for victory gradually turned into a desperate fight to stay on the podium. Even so, his defensive driving earned respect throughout the paddock. For lap after lap, he placed his Renault exactly where it needed to be, forcing faster cars to work extremely hard for every opportunity. It was the kind of performance that demonstrated why he remained one of the most feared competitors on the grid. For Williams, the race represented one of their strongest performances of the season. Both Heidfeld and Webber showed impressive pace, particularly during the closing stages when they were able to take advantage of Alonso's tire problems. Heidfeld's move for second place was perfectly judged, combining confidence, precision, and commitment. Webber, meanwhile, recovered brilliantly from his poor start. After losing several positions when the lights went out, he fought back through strategy and determination to put himself in contention for a podium finish. The team's smart pit calls and aggressive approach ultimately paid off with a major haul of championship points. Elsewhere, Toyota left Monaco with mixed emotions. Trulli had spent much of the race running strongly near the front and looked capable of securing a valuable result. However, intense battles in the final stages and contact over the curbs damaged his chances. The closing laps became increasingly difficult as rivals began finding ways past him. Despite the disappointment, his performance once again showed that Toyota could compete with some of the sport's biggest teams on the right day. The Ferraris also had plenty to think about after the race. Early incidents had compromised both drivers, forcing them into recovery mode almost immediately. Yet through persistence and experience, they managed to salvage points from what could have been a disastrous weekend. For a team accustomed to fighting for victories, it was far from ideal, but every point mattered in a championship that was becoming increasingly competitive. As the sun began to set over Monaco's famous harbor, attention shifted from the race itself to the wider title battle. Raikkonen's latest victory reduced doubts and increased expectations. His speed was undeniable, his confidence was growing, and McLaren appeared to have found a package capable of winning on every type of circuit. Rivals knew they could not afford to let him build too much momentum. The season still had many races remaining, but each weekend was becoming more important than the last. For the fans, Monaco had delivered everything they could have hoped for: strategy, controversy, overtaking attempts, accidents, and a commanding performance from one of Formula One's biggest stars. While the narrow streets of Monte Carlo had tested every driver to the limit, only one man mastered them better than anyone else. Kimi Raikkonen arrived in Monaco as a contender, but he left as the driver everyone else would now be chasing. The significance of the result became even clearer in the days that followed. Monaco is often regarded as one of the ultimate tests for a Formula One driver. Success there requires far more than outright